Good evening, all, and welcome back to the Celtic Unrestricted View. It's Monday, it's the dial-in, and joining me for that is my good man, Mr. Barry Bannan. Well, Baz, it's been a wee bit for myself and yourself. We're on, I think it was leading into the derby. How's things been, mate? It's good to see you.
Good, mate. Obviously had that international break there. Don't know about you, but I'm not a big fan of it. I like club football. Obviously, we get days off and don't play for a while. So, been busy with the family, mate. Spending good family time in that as well. So, was much needed. But I'm glad to be back on here after a Celtic one as well. So, that's brilliant, mate. Nice to see your face, and hopefully you're settling into your new house. Well,
Aye, mate, it's been an ongoing process, should I say, with that. Obviously, as you know, mate, moving into a new place, it's got teething problems and stuff, so try to get all that kind of sorted, and just as one of the ones, mate, you know yourselves, as long as the Wains are happy, then you're happy, do you know what I mean? And if they've took to it like a duck to water, so there's been no issues there at all. Obviously, they used to share a room. They were used to have bunk beds and stuff, used to share a room, so big change in here is they've got a room each. So that's been a big change for them. The wee man's loving it, man. He's lying back with the shades on, watching his telly and chilling out, and he's not got his sister annoying him now, so he's absolutely loving it. But same to yourself, mate. I hope you and your family are well as well, and obviously your two weans getting bigger and cheekier, mate.
It was my wee boy's second birthday on Friday there. He's getting bigger and bigger. It just goes, as you know yourself, it flies past. So it's good to watch him growing up. My daughter's 6 in the summer, so
wow,
craziness in the house. Like you said, they've literally no long been put down to bed with the clocks and that going forward. It's kind of threw them a wee bit, but they're good as gold, mate, and all good in the household, so I can't complain.
Good stuff. It's carnage, mate, especially at that age as well, because obviously my wee man's 7 in July, and my daughter, she's just turned 5 here, so it's absolute carnage. But it's worth it, because when they're no in and the missus maybe takes him out and I'm maybe doing something in the house, you sit for about 10 minutes and you go,
and you don't know what to do.
What's going on, man? Like, what? You're that used to different noises, different wee smells, different wee, they two running about mental, and then you go for that to absolutely nothing there. And maybe if you're just sitting in watching a game of football, Celtic away from home, and maybe they're away around to see their gran or whatever, and you're sitting there and you're going, my God, man, it doesn't feel right, Buzz. Do you know what I mean? It's
crazy.
It's mental. It's nuts. And then obviously you're wanting them back, and then they're only back about 10 minutes, and you're wishing them back out. That's families, mate. That's it. Know what I mean? How's things been with yourselves, mate? Obviously, Sheffield Wednesday, couple of points off the playoff, mate. Good wee draw away for home fees at the weekend there. How'd that go for you?
We're disappointed, mate, because we knew everybody was playing each other, and we knew that if we won, well, we never knew because you can't even predict results, but we thought that we would have closed the gap a good bit. And it happens to be that if we did win the other day, it would have been 3 points. But as you say, the positive is it's 5, so we cut it for 65 with 7 games to go. But it's disappointing because, no disrespect to Cardiff, but we felt as if they were there for the taking, and we didn't really get started to the second half, really, where we started to be a bit more ourselves and took the game to them and could have won it in the end. But I think the draw is a fair result, so we're a bit disappointed, mate, with Saturday. But like we said, we've cut the deficit to 5 instead of it being 6, and I think the fixtures, I think everybody's playing each other again this weekend around about us, so I think this will be a big weekend for us coming up.
Yeah, it's one of those leagues, isn't it, boys? Like I've always said with the Championship down in England, mate, even watching it through the years, like one win can boost you up about 4 or 5 places, and one defeat can do the same to you the other way, sort of thing. It's one of the kind of, my dad used to call it a yo-yo league. When I was younger, he used to say it's like a yo-yo league because everybody was, for as long as I can remember, boys, that league's always been really competitive and always really busy. You know, more than one team going for like promotion, more than one team even trying to win that title down there. So, it's do you guys find that in the league, Baz? Do you guys find it's like a hustle and bustle, and it can get at times?
It is a hard league. So you say, you try to predict results, and Leeds at the weekend there at home at Ellen Road, flying, drew 2 each with Swansea, who are down the other end of the table, which is an amazing result for Swansea. So it just shows you're never guaranteed. I think Leeds dropped points the other week as well away at QPR, who are down at the other end of the table. So they've dropped a lot of points recently against teams that would probably bank on them beating. So that just shows you, if you're not at it in any game in this league, that you can lose. So we're in a good position, mate. We'd like to be a bit better off. We obviously lost the derby a few weeks ago, which was a big chance to get right in amongst it. And then we dropped points at the weekend, but we're only 6 off it. And I think the week before the derby, we were 9 points off it. And now we're 5 after 4 games since then. So there's 7 games left to go. There's all to play for. Got a few games at home. I think 4 games of the 7 are at home. So if we can turn our home form around, I think it'll be close. It'll go to the wire, I think.
And how have you felt with your squad? Like, have you felt he's only getting a lot of injuries, he's withstanding that just now to keep this week and a push on going?
Well, we've had the boy Max Lowe get injured in the derby, and he's out for a while, which is a big blow because he's been probably one of our best players this season. But we've got Stu Armstrong and Jan Valery coming back. They've trained this week. They just missed out at the weekend there. I think they'll be back in the frame now for the next 7 games, which they're 2 Premier League players really, so they'll add a lot to the team for the run-in. So we're glad to have them back because they're massive for us.
Amazing. Obviously, Celtic fans that are on here tonight will be familiar with Stuart Armstrong and his time up here and what he gave Celtic. And at the time, Baz, when you were signing him, mate, I text you and I says, what a coup that is for you. I just hope Stuart can get back to a level of fitness that he's capable of then going and playing some matches for you. It can really help yourself and share as well in that department to really, really kick on and hopefully start dominating more of the games, mate, and being able to get the results required for you to give yourselves a big boost this season and make the playoffs.
No, he's a big one. Even the games that he's played, he obviously came in at a time where he was on pre-season in America and we signed him, so he wasn't fully fit. He'd probably had a 6-7 weeks off of game time. And he trained with us for maybe 2 weeks and we threw him in. And because of how good he is, it's hard to then take him off and try and manage his minutes because he's having an impact. Yeah. So I think it was probably a bit too early, but that comes with the price of being a good player. I think in the games, the manager probably wanted to look after him, but seeing the effect he was having. So we probably rushed him a wee bit too quick, and then he got injured, and then he tried to come back from it probably a wee bit too quick as well, and then done it again. So, but hopefully now we've gave him the right amount of time because we know how important he is, and we need him to finish the season for us fully fit. If he's going to help us, so hopefully, like you said, he can finish the season strong because for anybody in this league, he would be a big player.
Yeah, we comment there for, as we call him, we Wally call him. He's been on a dial in the last couple of weeks with Scott Melville. Says Sheffield Wednesday are a big club and they should be in the Premier League. Basil, you don't even need Baz to answer that, Scott. Baz would probably wholeheartedly agree with you, mate. I've always personally thought, before I even got to know yourself a bit better, Baz, I've always thought that Sheffield Wednesday are one of those clubs, mate. They are a sleeping giant in England.
The fan base. I go with fan bases from clubs, and you look at some of the teams in the Premier League now. No disrespect, some of them are a lot of established Premier League teams as well, like your Brentfords, Bournemouth, even Brighton, teams like that. their fan base compared to yours, it doesn't even compare really. But the clubs have done unbelievable to hold themselves in that league, because you see with the teams that go up now, like Leeds United and teams like that, they come straight back down, and they're massive clubs. So
Yeah.
once you go up there, it is hard. You don't just get by because you've got a big fan base or you've got loads of money. Obviously, with FFP and that now, it's completely different. So you got to take your hat off to them teams like your Brentfords and your Bournemouths who are in there now and really established Premier League teams. But definitely, I think Sheffield Wednesday should be in the Premier League. The fans and the size of the club deserve that.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it is time. I know we've not even getting into talking about what we all love. Obviously, I would say your second love, Baz, is obviously the jersey that I'm wearing tonight, mate.
That's the new.
That's the new, aye. But it is time, like I say, it is a dial-in. It is time for our first caller of the Monday night. And it is indeed our John M. Good evening. How are you?
Evening, lads.
John, how are you?
Not bad, Barry, yourself?
Aye, no bad, mate, no bad.
Good to see you, bud. Good to see you.
We're just killing time till you got here.
I heard that.
So, John, how are you?
Aye, I'm all right. I'm all right after that result of the weekend. But that other result, oof, Jesus, that was a lucky escape, that.
Aye,
just about. You're saying to yourself, you know, Dundee 3-1 up. It's all game management, you know what I mean? And they just, you're like, oh, Christ, collapsed.
Yeah, I think it's more Baz, obviously, Dundee, when you put the energy into the game and you go that kind of, you get that kind of lead. What happens there? Do you just run out of steam? They make changes, they bring subs on. You've not got that kind of strength and depth on your bench, and they're coming on at a time in the game where you're starting to come off it a wee bit and they're starting to gain a bit of momentum due to getting one of the goals back.
My dad was texting me I was on my way back from Cardiff in the bus, and I was obviously looking at the result on my phone, and my dad was watching it at the time. To be fair, when it got to 2-0, I was sat next to Windass and I was like, it could be a command or call again. They have done it a few times this season under Barry Ferguson, where they've went behind and came back. But then when it went to 3-1, when they get the goal chopped off to make it 2 each, and then Dundee went up and scored again to make it 3-1, I thought that the least was a draw for Dundee. But you see all the time with the Scottish teams, they tire towards the end of games because they surrender so much ball against the two biggest teams in Scotland, Celtic and Rangers. They have a lot of ball and tire teams out. Even though they might not be creating loads of chances, it's still mentally and physically draining for the other team. And I think as it gets later on, Celtic and Rangers physically are ahead of everybody up there. Just physically and fitness wise, a lot stronger and a lot sharper than all the other teams up there. And I think that's what you've probably seen at the weekend. I think when they get the second goal, goals change games, and then you think if they've got enough time, they probably will get a few more chances. I've seen Dessers had a lot of chances again. But it was a bit of it doesn't really bother me because it's, like I said, it's done. Do you know what I mean? It's finished, but you always like to see them getting beat, so it was a bit of a kick in the teeth when they came back for 3-1 down to 1, but it doesn't bother me at all because hopefully, fingers crossed, we've got the 3 trophies in the bag at the end of the season and these results don't matter a jot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, everybody that's tuning in and probably watching, if Ryan and Alan are tuning in as well, they'll probably agree that this is some sort of a new record that we've managed to set on this podcast. Now, as you all know, we are a Celtic podcast. We're just shy of 16 minutes. And I don't think we've spoken about Celtic once. I think that's a new record, guys. I really do. I think
that's shocking.
We're setting the bar really high now. We've done really well tonight, I think, there. I'm just getting it in my ear off the lads up the stairs saying, get the finger out and tell get John to tell us what he thought about the game on Saturday. So I'm just going to do that very thing with no further ado. I believe you were in attendance at the game on Saturday, John. How did you?
Yes, I was in attendance.
What was your overriding thoughts?
They started off kind of the same way they started off in the Derby game. I thought, here we go. They're going to mess this up because Hearts. I mean, okay, Hearts were pushing them high, but they were breaking that down. The goalkeeper, I thought he kind of was unsettled for the first maybe 15, 20 minutes. He was some of his balls were wayward, but we Callum got a hold of it a lot, and he started his wee conflab with Maestrom, and then they got it together. Their passing was absolutely brilliant. I thought McGregor's pass for the Daizen Maeda's goal was a total peach. You know what I mean? But no, they didn't look in any trouble at all. Apart from the first 15 minutes or so, I thought Hearts got at them a bit, but didn't cause them big problems. The way the other mob did, scored 2 goals, but they didn't look in any bother. I thought it should have been a lot more than 3.
Yeah, but I think obviously as John says there, you know, the first 15 minutes, I think Ryan was quite vocal of that in voice notes after the game on Saturday. He thought Celtic started very sloppy. They were giving the ball away. As John says, Ryan also said the same. They were pressing us up high. We were sloppy with the ball. We were giving the ball away needlessly. So it took us about 15 minutes to get going. But I think the overriding feeling now is after that 15 minutes, boys, Celtic just take complete control. And then obviously the game, when you're 3-0 up at half time, ultimately any sort of football game, especially at Celtic Park, you would believe it, that's game over.
No, definitely. I think, as John touched on there, the 15 minutes was quite similar to the Old Firm game a few weeks ago, where they got pressed high and gave the ball away numerous times. The only difference being the other day, we never get punished for it. I seen the goalie made a few good saves. But a lot of that, I believe, is down to Callum McGregor as well. We never had him in the Old Firm game, so you don't get the chance. He's the brains for that team on that park.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it can take 15, 20 minutes for a player with a brain like that to figure out how do we break them down now, they're coming this way. He'll be calculating that on his head. We never had that in the Old Firm game. I know you say Kasper Schmeichel's he's a leader, but it's different. You need your leader on the pitch being at the centre of it. He can see it, Kasper, but he can't tell them what to do and he can't do it. But McGregor can get a hold of 1 or 2.
Is he quite vocal, Baz? Because obviously you know him a bit more than us. Is he quite? He's no shy in talking to them.
No, he's definitely no. He's loud. He's always been loud. But in a good way. It's all helpful information. It's no digging people out and in that way. It's helpful information. But he would have been calculating in his head for the first 10, 15 minutes, no panicking, and then he'll grab them together, 1 or 2 of them, and tell them this is how we're going to break this press. And I think that's what happened in the Hearts game. He grabbed the game with the scruff of the neck.
Definitely.
The first goal was brilliant, where normally he'd be sitting as a number 6, but he actually runs as a number 8 there to break away for the press, because he's probably seen, I'm getting the ball sitting in front of the back 4 here. I'm going to have to move a bit more, and he was a bit more mobile. Jeffrey Slutt plays the ball in front of him and he's away at the heart of the defence, plays a splitting pass. That's all because he's sussed the game out in the first 10, 15 minutes and knows what the game needs. And it shows you how vital he is to that Celtic team, because I think the Old Firm game, you never really got that till the second half, because the manager then got a hold of them at half-time, which is probably too late because you're 2-0 down. Luckily, we get back to 2 each. But then the manager starts to see things during the game and he'll tell them at half-time. But you need a manager on the park as well in the first half, and that's what Callum McGregor is for that Celtic team.
Absolutely.
It shows you how big a player he is, and he was definitely missed against Rangers, and he took the game with the scruff of the neck the other day, and the first pass for the goal's unbelievable.
Yeah, John, obviously you talk about the first goal, right? Now everybody I've heard talking about the first goal talks about the ball for Jeffrey Sloop with his right foot, by the way. No, his left foot, his right foot into Callum McGregor, and as Baz just mentioned there, he puts it ahead of him to let Callum run onto it, and then obviously the ball slid through for Daizen for the first goal. But when you're looking at the first goal, that was about 7 to 8 passes that was cycled from the centre circle back into the right back, across into the centre halves. Then it was a lovely pass from Mike Nawrocki, a first-time pass, by the way, into Jeffrey Sloop. Then exact mirrored pass with his right foot into Callum. So Hearts, by that point, Hearts were trying to press with 2 and 3. But with those 2 and 3 passes from like Nawrocki, Sloop into McGregor, it just took about 4 or 5 of the Hearts players right out that press. And that's why Celtic then opened it up. And then going with what I've managed to see myself, it looks like Celtic then went on and they had a field day and started doing that at will.
Aye, exactly. I mean, the passing you said was put through to Jeffrey Sloop. He puts it through to McGregor. But I think, like to say, there's 2 defenders there. When Callum retrieves him, when he gets the ball for Sloop, I think they think he's going to slip it out to Jota. And the wee man just opens the whole defence right up and slips it right through to Daizen. Daizen's by this time on the run. So he's off. Yeah. He's gone. And Big Craig gave him his due, Big Gordon. I mean, I've always liked Big Craig Gordon. He came out trying to make himself look big, but the wee man just swiveled it right round him. And big goal right in the bottom corner. Cracking goal. Excellent goal. And then the wee man does his normal sort of saluting the Green Brigade or whatever he was doing, but he went off his nut when he scored the goal.
Yeah, Baz, I think Maeda's becoming this focal point now for Celtic, isn't he? I remember talking to Big Bev on Saturday about this, and Bev says you used to get good odds on him when he was out wide. Now you're not getting good odds on him if you're wanting to bet on him, because he's now one of those players he's expecting to score. Listening to his interview after the game, he says, I scored 2 today. He says, next game I score a hat-trick. Now, I don't know whether he's a wee bit of tongue-in-cheek with the wee man there, but he was laughing and but that's the confidence that guy is using. And by the way, I want to put it past him to go to St Johnstone, Baz, and actually score a hat-trick, because now
I wouldn't put it past him either.
No, but in my opinion, Baz, I think he's actually becoming more deadlier than Kyogo, and I can't actually believe I'm saying this. I think there's an argument now for the wee man's actually becoming more deadlier than Kyogo.
100%. It just goes to show what we've probably missed 2 years or 2.5 years of him as a number 9.
Yeah.
So I think we've kind of missed out in a way. Going from the return for January to now of what he's done, I think we've missed out on him by playing him out wide. He's obviously been an unbelievable signing when he was playing wide left. He was still a fan's favourite. But it goes to show you, if he was playing through as a 9 the whole time he's been here, probably wouldn't be here, to be honest, because
I know.
his goal return as a striker's been phenomenal. I think I seen at the weekend there he's 4 or 5 behind Kyogo's record at Celtic, 35 or 34 or something he's got.
Yeah.
That's going to get broken, I think, quite comfortably by Maeda this season. And half of the season he's been playing as a winger. So, no, I've always said that he's always been one of my favourites through the work that he puts in for the team after ball. And he always comes up in the big games. But I think this season he's went to new levels. I think technically he's got a lot better. I've seen Ryan touched on it there with his finish. A lot of people gave him stick for his finishing and his crossing. His finishing this season's been brilliant. Even his heading. I seen for the Jota goal, the headers. It's a hard header. And he nearly puts it away. It hits the post. He's unlucky in the end. He scored a lot of headers this season. He's slowly turning into the all-round package for Celtic. People speak about his hold-up play, and he's strong as an ox. He might not be big, but he's strong as an ox. He can use his body. He's rapid. So I'm just disappointed that we've only started to see him playing up front now. Like you said, JP, I think it's a very valid point that he is deadlier than Kyogo. I know people could turn around and say it's sour grapes because you've lost Kyogo and that's why we're saying it, but the stats are there for all to see. He's been unbelievable.
Yeah, John, what's your thoughts in terms of Daizen and that sort of argument there? I've probably just opened up a can of worms there amongst the Celtic fans, but for me, there's got to be, I mean, there's definitely an argument, as Baz has said there, even since January now, there's definitely got to be an argument that Daizen's every bit just as capable, if not becoming more important in that role for Celtic than what Kyogo was.
Oh, big time. Big time. But I think, did you play striker for Japan?
Yeah. And that's he gets picked before Kyogo to play for Japan as well. That's been an ongoing pattern as well.
It's just not the goal. It's not just the goals that he scored. I mean, I know he's scored 33 goals or something this season. Maybe even more in the cups. I don't know.
I think in total it's like 32. I think it is. I think that was over his.
I thought it was like 33.
Yeah,
but,
I think
it's not just it's a range of goals he scores. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's scoring off the corners with headers, and he's scoring tap-ins. He's scoring, curling it away by the goalkeeper.
The one at Dundee, Parkhead, he lobs Trevor Carson as well. Yeah,
brilliant. You know what I mean? Oh, he's a fantastic player. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And I mean, he's got an engine in him. He could run forever. You know what I mean? I don't think Celtic have had a player like that for a long time, with that kind of stamina. A guy that's going to last 120 minutes, say, if possible, you know what I mean? And it doesn't even look as though there's a bit of sweat on him when you see him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And but for me, Celtic have to give him a contract and try and keep him, because there'll be a lot of clubs, I think, sniffing round about there to maybe weak him away. Do you know what I mean? And he's too good a player for Celtic to lose. I think so anyway. Maybe even have him for another season in the Champions League if we'll obviously get there next season. But he's a brilliant wee player. Brilliant player.
Yeah, 100%. And John, obviously, just before we move you on due to the next call coming in after you, in terms of the run-in now, what do you see for Celtic, like, going forward? Obviously, there'll be another derby to play, but in the midst of the fixtures and obviously what Celtic are still to go and do now, do you think Celtic will just put their feet to the accelerator pedal and, and kick on now? Or can you see, like, any more slip-ups along the way?
Well, you can never say that you can't see slip-ups, you know what I mean? Because we've seen slip-ups where we never thought we would see them. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, it's a hard season. Baz will know it's a hard season when you're playing like 38, 39, 40 plus games with cups and stuff. And players they're no machines. They get tired, obviously, you know what I mean? Mentally and physically. But I don't see any hiccups, to be honest. I think Celtic will just keep focused. Probably just keep focused and what was it? 13 points we're clear now.
Yeah,
is it 13? Yeah. I can see that changing. Because they've been sort of stumbling. I know they beat us at Ibrox comfortably, but the game at Celtic Park was kind of different. We should have actually drew that game, to be honest, and it never happened. But I don't see any more stumbling blocks between now, apart from the game at the Debt Dome, I call it Ibrox. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
But apart from the game there, and hopefully, we're up for that one, and that time we take the 3 points there. But for me, the league's finished. To be honest, the league's finished.
Oh, it's been done for the end of Halloween, I think. Personally,
the league's finished. But
probably cemented it in January.
I can see Celtic cruising now to the treble. I can see. just cruising to the treble. Simple. That's what we're all hoping for. That's what we're all hoping for, obviously.
100%. We've still got St Johnstone to contend with and later on in April, so
I don't see enough, to be honest.
We need to do but nobody seen St Johnstone the COVID season. Nobody seen them winning the cup double, did they?
I get where you're coming from.
Anything's totally possible in football. Yep, but John, thanks very much for coming on and having a chat with us.
Brilliant chatting to you, lads, and good to see you, Barry.
And you, mate. It's lovely to see you and talk to you, mate.
All the best. If I don't see you, all the best for the running.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Look after yourself.
You too.
See you later, right? Bye-bye. Hail. Bye-bye. Thank you to John for calling in. Baz, there's some comments coming in tonight saying that we look a wee bit suspect at the back. In terms of, there's a couple of players being mentioned, AJ being one of them, saying that he's come right off it and he's not been on form and stuff. What's your thoughts on that, mate?
Obviously, the Celtic Rangers game, he was poor.
Well, that's the worst I've seen him.
Aye, he was poor that day. I thought defensively, the other three, Carter Vickers came in for a lot of stick, but I didn't think he was too bad in the Celtic Rangers game. I thought he was just all right. I thought Naroki played really well. Jeffrey Sloop was all right.
I thought he was all right. I know Ryan didn't he? And I was like, no, I didn't think Sloop was one of our worst players that day either.
I just think the problem that we've been having defensively for me, and I spoke about it ages ago, was cross balls into the box.
Mm-hmm.
If it's from open play, or I've even seen again, we obviously conceded to Rangers. We were asking with the flip the header at the front post. Seen it the weekend again. Hearts had a big chance at 0-0 maybe that Sinisalo saves for a corner. So that's my only problem at the minute, I think, defending cross balls.
Mm-hmm.
Liam Scales was brilliant for that. He defends crosses really, really well. Scales, maybe loses a bit of that height and that dominance cross balls.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't see enough of the game on Saturday to see what Naroki was like in there, but he looks as if he likes to go and attack the ball. What I did see was when they were pressing us, his passing was brilliant. It showed on Sports Scene like the first 10-15 minutes when Hearts were trying to high press.
Mm-hmm.
Some of his passes were brilliant. So we conceded a lot of goals. I think that's why people are starting to speak about it, because the last few Rangers games, the Cup, Ibrox, and then the one a few weeks ago, I think it's been like 8 goals maybe against them that we conceded.
Nine. They've scored 3 against us the last 3 games.
Which is no great reading. So that needs to stop if you want to win these games.
Aye.
Obviously, we've scored 5 or so against them maybe in the last 3. Should have had more at Celtic Park against them as well. But the defence has changed as well. Obviously, with Greg Taylor coming out, it's not been a settled back 4.
Mm-hmm.
He's now playing because Big Naroki looks as if he took his chance and he kept his shirt at the weekend, rightly so.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that Brendan obviously sees as well. Otherwise, he wouldn't be making changes to the back 4. But your dad touched on there, I think we've done more than enough this season to wrap the title up. But there does need to be consistency in the back 4. I think if you're going to keep clean sheets, another one's the goalie's dropped out now and injured, and we've got Sinisalo playing. That's a massive difference as well. So,
by the way, the 2 games he's played, he's kept a clean sheet away from Rovers and then Hearts.
I'm speaking about the defence, but they actually kept the clean sheet at the weekend. So it's a good team as well, a non-form team. I know they had a few chances, but we did keep a clean sheet, which is good going forward. I'm just glad that we've got people like Paolo Bernardo back. I think he was a massive miss to come on and change games or to rest Engels when you need to be.
Yeah.
You probably couldn't really do that when Bernardo was out.
James Forrest as well was another one.
James Forrest back. So I'm just glad, and like you said there, I think the they'll put the foot down now and they'll turn it up another few gears and they'll get the title sewn up relatively soon.
Aye, it is time for my second call of the evening. I do promise you, yesterday definitely was Mother's Day. It's no Father's Day today, that's for sure. But here's another good man, always full of good questions and things that you probably don't think of. He's also the man responsible, I believe, that put the curse on Casper Schmeichel when he asked about Sinisalo no playing games. I do think this man calls himself Mystic Meg on the side and he's just no one to tell him. So we'll get him in with no further ado. It is indeed our good man, Mr. John Clifford. Good evening, mate.
Good JP, Barry. How you doing, lads?
Evening, John. You all right?
All right.
Good, mate.
I've actually not had a chance to talk to you for you curse Casper.
I find it nice, don't I?
Unbelievable, man. A week and a half later, man, he goes out and plays for Denmark and ends up injured. Sinisalo's not playing, John says, the last time he was on Buzz. John's like, we'll need to come up with a way of getting a boy game time.
That's football, big man, isn't it? That's what happened.
That is, mate.
I'd messaged JP earlier on, Baz, but it's been spoke about tonight about Cal McGregor and his impact on the Celtic team. Anybody that thinks that Celtic play better or quicker without Cal McGregor, please go and seek medical assistance as soon as possible, please, because get the antidote for the Deludamol, because I don't know what you're talking about, honestly. He's instrumental in everything Celtic do. Badly missed in the Glasgow derby. He's an all-round fantastic player. I'm glad he's not playing with Scotland and he got that wee break there. He concentrated on his fitness. What do you think, Baz? Having 2 weeks to maybe get a bit of sun in his back or get more treatment, etc.
No, I think you're spot on, John. I think he'll be Celtic's best player to the day he retires. His brain's miles ahead of everybody's brain. That's not me saying he's the most influential player with numbers, but he's the biggest player that we've got in that team. If you lose somebody, he's the one that nobody will want to lose. He's the brains, he's the glue, he's the leader. And you've seen it for years when we play against Rangers. They've been trying for 10 years or so to try and stop Callum McGregor, and he always finds a way, whether they put a man on him or they try to place defenders in there with Sterling and things like that. He'll always find a way to win the game, and that's just how good he is. His brain's way ahead of everybody up there in Scotland. He sees things that other people don't see. And he's like you said, I think retiring for international duty has helped us massively, because I think it'll prolong his Celtic career, which is good for us. But we missed him. We definitely missed him in the Rangers game. It would have been a completely different story if he was there that day. I felt for the midfielders that day because you could tell that they were looking for him to help them, and he wasn't there. But no, he's the best player in Scotland for that position and has been for numerous years. And I think, like I said, I think he'll be Celtic's best player until he calls it a day. Really, his brain's second to none.
So, John, what's your overriding thoughts on Callum as a Celtic fan, mate? What makes Callum that important to you? What kind of qualities do you see in him?
He controls the tempo of the game, JP. He decides whether to slow it down or quicken it up. He's always pointing to people. No, next pass is there, 2 passes there, whatever.
Yes.
I think Baz said there, he's rod as his man on the park. I love watching him play. So easy in the eye, just glides, man. And see, I did actually mention this a few weeks ago. See, we playing Daizen up top. Cal will find him with passes instead of all these square passes and back. Daizen gives you that different dynamic of playing the ball forward through the channels, through the spaces. Daizen's for me, he's got to play up top the rest of the season. Definitely.
So do you think he's... Obviously, I don't know if you listened in earlier there when I was saying about the argument. There's definitely got to be an argument now for me, John, that Daizen's now having a bigger impact with Celtic than what Kyogo did. Now, that's not to say Kyogo wasn't a fantastic player for Celtic, but the wee man, since January, has now made it very easily for us to get over the fact that we had Kyogo and that bit of hole was there, because Daizen's now fulfilled that with probably more than what I would have thought up until now.
His flexibility, if one of the wide players gets injured, he can go out, either can go up top. He gives you that flexibility as well. But I don't know, how many goals has he scored since he went up top? You have any idea?
He must have...
I think I seen the day it was 17 goals.
Aye.
Is that just for the turn of the year?
Aye, that's for January onwards.
Yeah, for January,
aye. That's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not even that. I mean, he was having an impact as well, Baz, not just domestically, but he gave Manuel Neuer a torrid time as well. He took the ball off him, ran on him. He was unlucky not to score at Celtic Park with the one he went round him. He just got his angle wrong in the kind of last bit. But even over there, he was a constant threat. I think the big boy Upamecano was really annoyed with him, and it must be so frustrating to play. I mean, as a professional, Baz, if he was coming down to play against yous in a friendly even, what do you say to your lads? But I mean, you've seen him. You managed to see him at Villa Park, so you've seen him kind of up close, or the team, sorry, up close. How do you go about setting about that? You know, when
kick him.
Aye. Well, that's what I'm saying. Apart from kick him, like if you're the opposition and one of your lads have not played against him, and then within a couple of minutes of that game, he's right on them. What happens on the pitch, Baz? Do the boys start talking and say, "My God, he's rapid, man. You can't get a second here." Like, how does that even come into a conversation?
He's hard to be. I don't know what you can do to him, but you can kick him. I think that's the only thing you can really do, because he doesn't give you peace in the ball either. So it's not as if when he's got the ball, that's when he's a problem. You don't have it as well. I think what your dad said there as well, Touchstone, was very, very good point. He scores all sorts of goals. Like, Boz will be flying about in the box and he'll just be there. He'll be anticipating it. That's not out of luck. That's because he's striking fear in centre halves. They slash at their clearances. They hesitate. They want their goalie to come and help them. And he's just in and he's away, and he's the next thing you know, it's in the net. He's unbelievable. I think we've missed out on him by not having him as a number 9, to be honest, because the last 3 months that I've seen, he's been easily Celtic's best player by a country mile. Like you're saying, it's not just domestically, it's in Europe as well. He was a nightmare for Bayern Munich. He was probably single-handedly kept us in that tie order. He was the only one that looked like scoring. He was a threat for the whole game. I know Kuhn scores the goal, but that comes from him chasing the ball down and getting the ball that he couldn't score.
Yeah.
They need to give him a new contract, definitely, and he's got to be paid really, really well as one of the best players, because his performances week in, week out merit him being one of the highest paid players at the club, because he's been brilliant for years now, and he's not one of them players that you think if I give him big money, is he going to stop? He'll never stop. You can just tell the kind of character he is. He'll go again and he'll go again, and I just hope we can keep a hold of him, because he's unbelievable. He will be hard to replace. I know we talked about Kyogo and replacing him, but this is a different ball game, because what he gives you on the ball, he gives you just as much off the ball as well, and you don't find them players anywhere.
Yeah, 100%. John, obviously, touching on another point with Celtic, mate, in terms of this Greg Taylor scenario, and then obviously Jeffrey Sloop coming in, what's your take on that scenario? Like, obviously, Brendan's post-match comments alludes to that, you know, Greg's probably going to move on now at the end of the season. It was finally confirmed by the manager. So, in terms of that, as Greg is a servant with Celtic, I mean, he's myself and Baz and Ryan and the boys out here have, he's been a great servant to the club, but he's obviously looking for first team football and to be the number one. And obviously Kieran Tierney's coming back, and again, for me, that's not getting spoke about enough for the Celtic fans, and I quickly drop it in every time I can on these episodes now, just to kind of give us something still to look forward to. We've got Kieran Tierney coming back in the summer, and but in terms of Jeffrey Sloop, would you try and keep him, John, or would you maybe look elsewhere if Greg Taylor is moving on?
Well, firstly, when Brendan came back, he said what he wanted to change was we needed players with physicality and dynamism, and that's not Greg Taylor. Greg Taylor's a fantastic player and he's been a great servant, but that's not Greg Taylor. If he doesn't suit the system that Brendan wants to play, then so be it. He'll just need to move on. That's football. But I was never his greatest fan, and then I grew into him. I think he's been a very good Celtic player. It's a shame that we're not getting any money for him. I think we should maybe have sold him in January and maybe get a couple of million from him to put it into the kitty for the summer. But I just can't wait to see KT coming back, to be honest with you. I think he's a different level. And Sloop, he's obviously on good money down south. Mm-hmm. Is he going to play every week down south? Maybe he's maybe going to be a championship player now. Maybe Basel let us know the standard he'll be at, but he's maybe a squad player in the Premier League. Or does he want to go play in the Champions League, win trophies? I don't know. I would certainly like to keep him about the place anyway.
Yeah, but it's obviously John touches on Jeffrey Sloop there. He seems to be one of those players that's kind of flew under the radar slightly, but he's came in and looking the way he's, the camaraderie he's got with the boys and the team, he looks to have settled pretty quickly. He's done a few interviews now, and I think he's familiarising himself with the place even more, but he seems to have settled in quite well. And as John touches on there, he gives us a level of physicality that we maybe don't get with Greg.
No, he's been a great signing. Great bit of business in January. Like you said, he's athletic, strong as they come, and I think we have seen a bit of difference in there since he's come in for Greg Taylor. Two completely different players.
Yeah.
But I think with Kieran Tierney coming in, that probably hinders Jeffrey Sloop's decision to stay at Celtic. Is he going to want to come up here and play second fiddle? Probably no, and that's what realistically will happen because he's not going to play before Kieran Tierney. So I think with Greg Taylor looking as if he's on his way out, there'll probably be another left back that we'll have to sign as cover for KT, because I can't see a player of Jeffrey Sloop's standard coming to sit on the bench at Celtic Park. I think he's obviously loved it here this season. You can tell that he's settled in really well. But with KT coming back, I think I can't see somebody that calibre sitting on the bench. I think we'll need to go and fish for maybe a younger left back that's in Scotland. Somebody like, I like the boy at Hearts.
Penrice.
Really good. Somebody like that'll come in and cover. Like a Greg Taylor. I think Penrice is probably more physical than Greg. But Jeffrey Sloop's been a great signing. But like you said, I'll be sad to see Greg Taylor go, because I think value for money, he's gave it back in dozens, and it was some signing for Neil Lennon. I'm a bit like John. I wasn't too keen at the start, but I think towards the end of his Celtic career, he was an unbelievable servant. Played every game, was fit for every game, came up with assists, inverted into that midfield role when we changed to that, and it suited him brilliantly. So there's no Celtic fan that can knock Greg Taylor, because the value for money that he's gave us back has been sensational.
Yeah, 100%. And John, obviously, just before we let you go, mate, looking ahead now towards the end of the season, do you see Celtic just motoring on now and wrapping up the business as per and being on the podiums, lifting the trophies?
Aye, coincidentally, I had one other point, if I can make it quickly, JP.
On you go. No, fire away. I thought you were done, mate. You were just sitting listening there.
No. Point in the time, big man, don't worry.
Nice one. That's what we like, mate. That's what we like.
Seen Saturday, Brendan, the squad was strong. There wasn't much youth in the squad on Saturday. And after we went 3-0 up, I think we had an opportunity to maybe play a couple of the younger boys to give them some minutes, or is he just going to go strong to the leagues? Mathematically impossible for anybody else to win it, and then maybe introduce and bleed a couple of youngsters. What do you think?
Baz, I'll let you go first because obviously I know about the boy Jude Bonner. He played the 2 Scotland games there, so at his level, and I did see Brendan's comments saying about him being loaded and training too hard, and he was kind of giving him a bit of time. I don't know if that's why he wasn't part of Saturday's squad, but or he didn't get on or whatever. But I don't know about the other young boys. But as John makes a good point there as well in terms of the game being done at half time, I don't know if that would have been an opportunity.
It's hard, isn't it? Because like you said, you've got people like James Forrest coming back to need game time. Paolo Bernardo was on the bench. I don't think you'll see any of the young boys, to be honest, because the squad's that big now when everybody's fit that there's no. Who do you let down? Do you know what I mean? Do you let Yang down, who's been trying all season, like a bear? You've got McCowan. You've got Liam Scales, who's probably going to be back for centre half. Anthony Ralston. I just can't see. It's a shame, really, because like you said, when you're 13 points ahead and the season's nearly done in the league, you'd like to see a few of the young boys get a chance, but it's hard because at a team like Celtic, you want to win every week. You want to break records. You want to win by as many points as you can. You don't want it to be 6 or 7 at the end of the season. You want to 19. So it's hard because you've got a demanding fan base there who want to win every game. And when you've got a squad as big as ours, like John said there, it was a really strong bench at the weekend for the first time in a right couple of weeks that there's been no young lads on it. So, no, I think I can't see much changes because there's people there when the league is wrapped up who will need game time. Bernardo's, McCowan's, Forrest's, Daizen Maeda's, people like that. Unless he thinks he's going to be wholesale changes next year and he's going to get rid of some of them, you might see a few young boys bloodied in that way, but I think he'll go as strong as he can to the end of the season now.
Yeah, I agree. John, I think obviously you call this now the business end of the season. This is when all the hard work you've done in the winter months and all that, winter break stuff, and you were going hammer and tongs at it, trying to go with the same squads to get you results and changing me numbers here and there just to try and get you through. And Celtic really came through a busy period there, really unscathed at that point. So for me, mate, I think when it comes to business end of the season, I'm afraid the young boys will need to take a back seat now and wait to pre-season again before they really get any time again with the first team boys. That's not to say that they'll train well and they'll do whatever. The only one I could probably see making it there, and I've spoke to Ryan about this as well, even off camera, is the boy Jude Bonner. I think the way Brendan talks about him and the kind of hospitality and the treatment that his mum and dad get when they're at Celtic and the way that boy's getting treated, I think he's the next one that's going to. He came on against Aberdeen. He done very well, by the way. He didn't look physically not ready. He didn't look as if he was behind the players. He wasn't trying too hard. He just took to it right away. So I personally want to see more of that young boy, John. But
do you know his contract situation?
I think he's just recently signed a new extension. Him and the boy Kyle Urey. He's another one in the development squad as well. I think Kyle Urey's contract was a new 5-year. So they must see something in that boy. He's like the Scott Brown of the development squad, apparently. And that's where he plays. He plays in that sort of anchor role. So him and Jude Bonner are the two that myself and Ryan have heard things about things that, you know, these might be the next ones that are I know we've heard a lot of promise. We've seen it through the years. Some of our boys have moved on, like Ben Dokes and the
Rocco
Vata and the other boy Liam Kelly. They some of these boys have moved on, but these boys aren't in a hurry. I don't think these lads are in a hurry, and I think they're trying to see if they can make a grade. But I do agree with Baz, John. I think at this stage of the season, mate, this is where the first team squad will be fully focused and ready to go, mate.
Aye. Ben Dokes done okay since he left, and much as if he got a move on in the summer for Liverpool. A big fee.
David Moyes wants him.
Aye. But there's no many others that we even do better, is there? The youngins. How's Rocco Vata getting on? Watford? I've no idea.
I think he's. I was going to say I've read an article saying that their fans have took him pretty well, Baz.
You played against them, Baz, this season?
He came on against us. We've got them last game of the season at their place. He came on at Hillsborough, and looked the part. To be honest, he looks strong. Looks as if he's beefed up a bit, and looks as if he's a powerful runner. The boy. So I see he got his debut for Ireland as well. He came on in the last international break there, so he's made his international debut as well. But he's played a lot more than I thought he would have this season for Watford. So he's done really well.
But I do agree with you, John. I don't think a lot of the younger boys don't really go, and you don't really hear much about them once they move on, mate.
Did Celtic just get a development fee for Rocco Vata?
Aye.
I think it was, and I think it was something along the lines of, I think it was like 425,000 or something. It wasn't much considering, you know.
Aye.
But it was, you know, Celtic have done what they could to try and keep the boy. The boy didn't want to stay for whatever reason, and he's moved on now. So this is what happens. Unfortunately, I've always said it, lads. I don't think we've got the pulling power of the finances England. We you know, when teams even down in the English Championship come calling, and these teams are willing to offer, even at a younger stage, they're willing to offer some of the boys a wee bit more money. And unfortunately nowadays, the young lads aren't there just because they want to play football. They're there because, you know, they want the money to afford that big fancy motor that they want to impress their mates and impress their birds and impress their this and get good haircuts. And I think we've all heard Roy Keane talk about stuff like that, do you know what I mean? And it seems to be merely an image now with a lot of them, rather than concentrating on their football first and then building it for there.
Do you know they know as well? Like, you look at that Celtic team, and for instance, Rocco Vata, even Ben Doak, they're not going to play in front of the wingers. Rocco Vata is a winger or a striker. He's similar to Maeda. He's not going to get a game whilst he's there. You've got Ben Doak. Is he better than Kuhn and Jota? No. So they're having to leave because they're not going to get in there. I know Ben Doak went to Liverpool and he's got that same problem there. But like your boy Rocco Vata's probably done the right thing for game time, because he's probably going to get more games at Watford this season than he would have at Celtic Park, because we've got Maeda who plays through the middle. If he wants to play wide, he's got to beat Kuhn, Yang, Jota, Maeda, Forrest, Jamesy Forrest. There's loads ahead of him, so I can see why Rocco Vata moved on. Maybe no Ben Doak, but he obviously backs himself, Ben Doak. He's had a really good season. I know he's injured now at Middlesbrough. He's obviously broke into Scotland, and he's a right winger. He's got that right winger jersey for Scotland now as well. But he might not play at Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? You've got people like Mo Salah and things like that ahead of you. So maybe if he hanged around, he might have been one of the ones where might have got more games than we thought.
Do you think he'd win the Celtic team now, Baz, if he'd have stayed under Ange? Do you think he'd have got more games?
I think he'd be a bit like Yang, maybe similar to Yang game time. I couldn't imagine him getting as much game time as Yang. But that would have been with James Forrest being injured, like James Forrest is as well. If Jamesy was fit, then probably no.
And John, I need to ask you before we let you go, mate, in terms of Baz just mentioned the man there, Yang. Have you been slightly surprised at Brendan's managed to stick with the lad? And obviously he must see something in him because he's let guys like Palma and all the other boys that all kind of joined at a similar time as him. They're all away now. Guys like Kuhn and Odin Holm and Palma, none of them are at the club now. And Yang's the one he's kept, and he's obviously been working with. I think Ryan's been vocal on here. Came on against Bayern Munich, and Ryan called him prime Neymar, you know, in games that he's coming on and affecting.
He's no for me, JP. Up to January, everything's start related now, innit? And his stats were absolutely horrendous, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. But he has improved, to be fair to him. But he's a squad player, and he'll never be anything more than that, I don't think. There's too much quality in front of him in the wide areas. He's got too much opposition with all the players that's there. Kuhn, Jota, Jamesy, etc. It's just a squad player for me. At best.
No, fair enough. No, I thought I would ask, just because obviously I've not spoke to you about him for a wee while, and there's been a bit of time passed since the last time you mentioned him yourself, and obviously he's come on and he scored a couple of goals since then. We found out his girlfriend's here visiting him, and things are all rosy in the garden, should we say, for him. But I think Yang's one of those ones, Baz, isn't he? Like, it's either he's like Marmite, isn't he? You either love him or you hate him.
I think he's been unlucky recent weeks, because I thought Nicholas Kuhn's been really poor recently for Celtic.
Yeah, I agree.
I seen he obviously played a part in 2 of the goals at the weekend. It looks as if he played a bit better on Saturday, but I think since Jota came in to Celtic, Nicholas Kuhn's form split drastically. So I've felt Yang's been probably harshly treated, because he's affected games recently a lot better than he has, and he's not been given a start. So I think he's been unlucky in the last month or so not to get as much game time as he probably his performances warrant, because I think Kuhn's, for me, he's dropped off a lot recently.
Yeah, I agree about Kuhn. I do.
What Jota has got is Jota's got end product, which Yang hasn't.
Yeah, I would agree with that, mate. Jota's he's a different level of player, and but again, it's I suppose it's horses for courses. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I've got a slight thing for Yang. I do think there's something in him. I think I'm intrigued to see if he's going to stay around much longer, if he's there next season. And I've actually got a wager with one of my mates on. I think he'll, as Baz says there, John, with him dropping off Nicholas Kuhn, I think if that continues, I do think Rodgers will make changes, and I think Yang will start playing. I do. I can just see him getting his opportunity, because Brendan's only one of the. I've noticed it the second time around, he's more ruthless this time around with certain players, and if you come off it, even Hatate, I mean, I seen him whip Hatate off no so long ago at half time for making 2 bad passes in the game, and he warned him prior to that as well. Like, he was screaming and bawling at him. So, and I was at the game at Celtic Park when he done it, and he just whipped him. Boom, McCown came on at the second half, so he's no frightened to do it. And I think I had a debate with Big Alan about this last week, and I says to Alan at the time, I says, Brendan will make changes. He'll change it up if he thinks Nicholas Kuhn's stepping off it. I think that's interesting that Baz has picked up. I'm glad I'm not the only one that's noticed that Nicholas Kuhn's came off it, you know. Because Yang's coming on in small windows and he's making things happen. Like, we couldn't play through Rangers until Yang got on the pitch. And that's when we started to get a bit of joy, when he was playing all that kind of one-touch, rolling passes and moving. Kuhn wasn't doing that. He was getting back to me all the time or losing it to Yilmaz. So, yeah. But, John, thanks very much for coming on and having a chat with us, mate.
No problem, anytime.
Lovely to speak to you, John.
Cheers, Baz. Who's playing
Cheers,
this week,
mate.
Baz?
Have a good...
We've got Hull at home.
All right. All the best for that, then.
Thanks very much, John. Cheers.
Yeah,
Look
buddy.
after
Right, good
Cheers
night,
again,
lads.
John. Thank you, mate.
yourself.
Take care.
Hail, hail.
Bye-bye, mate.
Bye-bye.
Hail,
Bye.
mate. Bye-bye. Cheers to John for calling in. The two Johns tonight, Baz.
I know.
With to deal with a wee Father's Day tribute to the podcast, and there he's there. Jota's been different class. Just a shame you've not been different class for the podcast, you wee skiver. Otherwise, we'd be talking about a different hang on here, eh? I think he's sitting in the cupboard with Liam Scales tonight, mate.
Nah, he's got the denims on. That's how he's speaking about Jota.
He's
denim
denims.
on.
I know that's how he's thinking about thing there now, isn't he? He's thinking about Jota.
Aye, the 10 double denim show.
That was him there at the Thistle Hotel the night, meeting on the wee man. Saying he made him toast and ravioli for his dinner. Tremendous. You always rely on me, Ryan. Brilliant, man. Listen, thinking back to the Daizen, man, do you know, we've not even spoken about the other goals. I mean,
I know.
the second goal leads to a backward header for Daizen, comes off the post, and then just great anticipation again for Jota, runs in and smashes it into the net. Now, I think it was a big shout. I think Big Craigie was going mental with the ref. I think he's wanting offside, and he's batting up by round 3 for that one, I think.
The timing of the run was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was a great move as well. I think Naroki started it with a needle past the Engels. It was an unbelievable touch from the Engels. And he kind of puts the ball in front of Hattati maybe a wee bit too much. But Hattati was brave and slid in, took a whack for his troubles as well. And then obviously Kuhn takes her for there. He's done that pass loads into JP where he cuts inside and plays the reverse ball in there.
Yeah.
Is it quite a lot?
Yeah.
And he's beating at it. I think that's where the chance comes for. Obviously, Alistair Johnson overlaps that gives Kuhn the space to come inside.
Mm-hmm.
Header's so unlucky. They've been an unbelievable header as well.
Aye.
But we talk about Jota being different for wingers. He scores goals, Jota. That's what he does. He scores goals constantly. Talk about stats, goals and assists. He's the man for that out there. That in his first time here, his stats were unbelievable. And since he's come back, he's scored quite a lot of goals and set up a lot of goals as well. So he sniffed it out and was there. The third goal was brilliant. I think it was the thing that impressed me about the third goal. I know I've just been saying, so I'm contradicting myself a wee bit. Kuhn for the third goal's brilliant. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of players that probably play the ball early and Maeda would be offside, but Kuhn takes another 2 touches to get beyond Maeda before he slides that goes for the tap in. It's like the brain there's really, really brilliant. A lot of people panic there and think, I need to get it across to him. He's got a tap in, but he's offside. And he just banks on his pace, Nicholas Kuhn, and just goes down the outside. It wasn't Penrice, it was a debut. It's a boy they brought for the championship, wasn't it?
Aye, I can't mind the boy's name now. Aye.
He just leaves him for deed and takes a few.
No, he just totally drops his shoulder and he just goes. But I know the one you're talking about because he faints to play early. And the boy sort of half commits with his body, and then it's like he takes another couple of strides, and by that point he's a wee by the lad again, and he just that ball a
lot of wingers play that early, and Maeda scores, but he's offside. But his brain there to take the extra touch to know that he's offside's brilliant, and I'm glad because I love Nicholas Kuhn, and he's not been the same Kuhn for the last few weeks, so I'm glad to see. Hopefully that'll give him a bit of because the fans have been getting on his back as well.
What do you think that's down to, Baz? Do you think he's, for the first half of the season, he was the main man of the team, wasn't he? And then this big superstar for Portugal arrives in the name of Jota, and I think Nicholas Kuhn's, for me, it looks like he's been taken aback with what Jota means to Celtic fans. Like, he's kind of like, as if, what's going on here, man? Like, 1 minute he's all singing my name, and now all of a sudden he's singing his name. And he had, at that point, I mean, Jota hadn't even come on against Motherwell and scored. It was prior to the build up to the Motherwell game, and you know, what do you think that's down to? Do you think that's down to, because I know a few Celtic fans I spoke to, they think his head's been turned in terms of a move potentially. Because I know there's been strong murmurs. I don't know what it's like down your neck of the woods, mate, but there's been strong murmurs that Eddie Howe and Newcastle really want him. And you know, there's been heavy talk that could become a possibility in the summer, or a chance for, you know, Kuhn to go there. So, I think he's not been the same since that night against Leipzig.
I just think he's played a lot of games. We've relied on him a lot because of how influential he was for us the first part of the season. He never really got a rest. He was constantly playing every single game. And that's probably new for him because he's been at big teams where he's not played a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's at Sturm Graz. He probably played a lot, but it's completely different playing for them and playing for us because you're playing Champions League. It's a different pace in Scotland.
Yeah.
He has to play a lot of minutes. And to be honest, it's a lot for the same player to keep going and going and going and going. I think he probably needed a wee bit of a rest. And that's why I was surprised Yang's probably not played as much, because maybe the Yang of old, but the Yang of recent times can come in and do a job, I feel. So I think with James Forrest coming back now, you might start to see Nicholas Kuhn not getting dropped, but probably not being a permanent fixture in the team in the run-in. I think because you get Jamesy back and you've got Yang who's at a bit of form, I think you might be a bit reluctant to play them and give them a few games. It could be, like you say, Newcastle and things like that. The start of the season up until January, he was brilliant. So it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. I watched him at Villa Park and I thought he was one of the players that night as well, even though he didn't get a great deal of the ball. But when he hit it, you could see that he was settled at that level in that environment, that it didn't faze him and that he felt as if he belonged there. So I think he is one that could probably leave.
Kuhn?
Aye, I think he could go. I think if there is teams there, I think he's a player that will jump at the chance of going. I might be wrong, but I just think he looks as if he will want to play in the Premier League at some point, and I wouldn't be surprised if there is suitors for him in the summer.
Yeah. Joe Hart's ball patch has said, as long as we get big money, sell. Talking about Kuhn. Would you see a big offer coming in for someone like Nicholas Kuhn in terms of, you know, you look at the money that Jota's went for, Kieran Tierney, then you look at Matt O'Reilly in the summer there. How do you think that one would play out for you? Do you think we would get
near
that kind of money?
No, I think realistically, what did Jota go for? 20, 22? Did Jota go for 20 odd, or was it less?
25. I'm on KT went for the same. And we've got to do them back for 8 million if you look at the Jota deal, because KT's coming back in a free.
I reckon if you get between 15 and 20, you probably take it. Going after this season, if you keep him again and he goes again next season and does what he's done this season, then you're probably looking at a bit more again. But I think at the minute, I don't know if he's done enough to go for as much as Jota and Matt O'Reilly's and people like that. I think he's just probably a wee bit below that.
It is an interesting one, because our good man, Mr. William Glavin, as you've met William before, Baz, he done an article recently, and it is with an ongoing Celtic target, and it's been for some time now, of Sondre Åsegester, a young lad from Norway. And William sort of, you know, he indicates that, you know, the interest is a bit deeper than just talks. I think a move nearly transpired itself in January, albeit for a delay in the Lewis Palmer transfer. which kind of scuppered the deal at that point, with Celtic planning to revisit the move in the summer. So, you know, if Celtic are certainly looking for another winger, and certainly in that department, then it would make more sense to what you're saying in terms of Nicholas Kuhn could move outwards to facilitate that, and maybe bring that lad or whoever else it may be.
He was one that I wanted to sign in January, because when we were getting linked with players, I was obviously have a look at them and have a look at their clips if I don't know them. And I remember looking at his stats and reading up a bit about him and doing my homework, and he seemed to be I think Leipzig and people like that were sniffing around him at the time. So he would be one that I would like to see come in the door if people like that are going to leave. He was one that I was dying for us to get in January. But we ended up with Jota, which I'm not complaining about, obviously. But I did do my homework on him, and he was one that did excite me at the time when I read about him, because it was all positive. And when you see teams like Leipzig and that linked with players that you're in for, it's a good sign, because they don't get much wrong them as a company and as a franchise. They're normally quite spot on with their signings, and they tend to then sell them players for fortunes after that.
I found it interesting because Bodo Glimt were after him, and apparently he rejected him point blank because he said that the manager fits Kuznetsov, and some of the players, apparently the team is riddled with cliques. This is what this lad said. Now, this lad's only in his early, I think he's about 20. He's his head screwed on the right way, because he was, and that's why he said he wouldn't sign for Bodo, because the team all suggest they're players for. I don't even think they're playing in Europe or anything. They're not recognised as a European side. They don't play in the Europa or Conference, or, and you think of Bodo, the first time I came across him was when we drew him under Big Ange, and then, they've had some decent results. They beat Ajax, they've beat some well-known teams recently. I think they ran Roma close as well when they were under Jose. So, you look at that, but I found that quite interesting, Baz, in terms of that was the reason they never went, because they were so cliquey. So it doesn't sound like the lads. It doesn't sound silly, that's for sure. It doesn't sound as if he's kind of driven for this or driven for that. But I think Celtic, it's certainly a lot bigger than what he's. I don't want to be disrespectful, because I'm not privy to the Norway League, but in terms of the ability of side, for me, he's playing with a team that would equate probably Dundee United in their league, if I'm looking at it right. So I think anybody of a young age and Celtic come calling, and then I read that article that William done, Baz, and I echo what you're going to say in terms of looking at the lad. He looks impressive. His numbers are frightening. Like, for a young lad, he's got so much going for him and so much quality already without even working with a manager like Brendan to develop him on. I think that's one that could possibly excite Celtic fans.
He's a winger, isn't he? So it depends where you're going to play Maeda, or if Maeda stays next year, because if Kuhn is going to go, you could play Jota back on the right and Maeda could go on the left, and you could probably bring in another 9 as well. It's like Ryan Zar was saying earlier, there's flexibility with Maeda. He can go wide, and that can free up a striker. I know that Visgarden, seen people putting in the comments here about Visgarden again flying this season. We've been linked with him quite a lot. That could be one.
I think he scored again. That's 15 in 18 games or something. I think he scored now.
So we don't think it could be a winger. It could be a striker, and it can mean Maeda goes back to playing out wide. We don't know. I think there will be. I think personally there'll be 4 or 5 big signings in the summer. I think there'll be that much. I think there'll be probably relatively the same.
That's a big bit of surgery, man.
I think they need to. I think the Old Firm games, the last couple of Old Firm games, I'll vouch for that and say that there needs to be. I'm even going to go as far as to say he's my favourite player at Celtic. Like, people like Hatate and that are no safe next year for a starting place. I think there's going to be people coming in that are going to fight for their jerseys, and it's up to them if they kick on again or they give up. But I think people like Atatis, there'll be a centre back, probably, no doubt. Maybe a centre forward that's going to come in and be the centre forward if Maeda don't play there and goes wide. But I think there'll be big change. I think 4 or 5 players will come in to start.
The boy Sterling for Bratislava, his dad's been very vocal again recently, saying that the move could be revisited. And so he down tools. He just totally stopped playing for Bratislava. Started missing training, and I think he missed one of their cup games. They ended up out the cup. The fans are blaming him because he never played, and he was the only one for me that night at Celtic Park. He got scalped that night, but he was the only one that kind of stood out, and you were kind of going,
even at the Euros, he was good. He was good against England at the Euros. He stood out that game as well, caused problems. He's obviously seen Parkhead and thought, I fancy a bit of this. Do you know what I mean? In the Champions that night, so he's obviously thought he'd down tools and would get him out, but it don't always work that way. But he's another one. If I know Viscarton, there's big money getting thrown about for him. Did he go for that, or did they go for the cheaper option with Strelic? But I think there'll be 45 players that will come in to try and no players on the front. I'm on about like starters. I think they'll come in to start, and if they're no good enough and they're not as good enough as they thought they were, then so be it. But I think he will try and bring 4 or 5 starters in.
Yeah, that was Ryan just basically saying you and William obviously know about the lads, and basically that would excite Celtic fans. What's your thoughts, boys, in terms of Casper? If this injury is quite long, and I know Rodgers has tried to kind of play it down a wee bit and, you know, say it could only be a couple of weeks, but the ongoing echoes and murmurs, and it's came from the Danish FA, as that he's probably going to miss the rest of the season now with whatever. I'm hearing that he's damaged the tendon in his shoulder. So
to be honest, no matter what the injury is at this time of the season, the likelihood is you're missing the rest of the season anyway.
Right.
Even if it's very minor, or you're out for the season. Do you know what I mean? We had we matched Low, and we thought that was going to be a bad one, and it wasn't as bad as first thought. But once you get to March, April, any injury, you're out for the season, really. So I wouldn't be too worried, as in injury-wise. Obviously, we don't want to lose him, but I don't think because he's missing the rest of the season that means it's career ending. Do you know what I mean? The end of the season's 6 to 7 weeks. That could be a average quad pull in another day. Do you know what I mean? It's just starting to get older. So,
do you think there could be a goalkeeper bought in the summer for the fact that we've got to play a playoff to get to the Champions League now?
No, I don't think so. I think with the boys in Asala, I've not seen enough of him. But obviously, he's played 2 games and 2 clean sheets. But he's obviously came from Aston Villa as the future. So I think they've brought Casper in to teach him and learn him the trade, really. For when he does retire, I think the boy will step in. I've not seen enough, so I can't comment. But what I have heard is he done well at the weekend. I know your old man said he was a bit ropey. He's playing for the first time at Parkhead in front of a full stadium. I know he played in the cup, but this is a proper game at the weekend.
It's a different opposition as well, isn't it? Yeah.
So it's obviously going to take time to play in front of a crowd like that. But from what I've seen, he made a few very, very good saves, big saves as well. So they've done his confidence the world of good. So I think
he looks very, very flexible, by the way he moves for the ball.
I think depending on how he finishes the season now, because it looks as if he'll be into the end of the season, will depend on whether we need to go and buy another goalie.
Yeah, that's interesting. And finally, mate, obviously the Lennon Miller thing. Do you see Lennon Miller being a Celtic player come summer? I know there's a lot of talk about it happening just now. Some are saying it's a done deal already. Some are saying that the noise definitely in the door after Kieran Tierney. Do you think it's a sign that Celtic have to make buzz in terms of we don't want to go down this John McGinn route, as it's been labelled? Because I've seen a few people, and it was funny you actually mentioned about Rio Atati. I've seen a few people saying that they think that could be Rio Atati's replacement. I've seen people say they think it could be Callum McGregor's long-term replacement. In terms of Lennon Mully yourself, mate, first and foremost, what do you think of him as a player? And then do you see him moving to Celtic?
I think he's a very good player. Anybody that young that's captain in their club and played as many games as he has must have something about them. He's obviously a talented boy. To replace Satati and McGregor, probably at the minute, probably no. But I've not really seen enough of him to comment fully. I know he's, from what I have seen in like bits and bobs, he's been very good. But as I said, for a young boy to be playing week in, week out in the SPL and captain in your team says everything, really. You obviously see Andy Halliday and Tony Watts and people like that have played at a good level, speaking very highly of him as well. So,
do you know his dad? Did you meet his dad before?
But I met him in Portugal the one year when I was in Aston Villa. Lennon was there on holiday with his dad. I met them then, and he was watching training. Asked if they could watch training and stuff. This was a few years ago. He wasn't in the first team yet. But my mate Nicky used to coach him when he was under 11s at Motherwell, and I went to watch a session. And it was Lennon Muller and Bailey Rice were in the same under 11s that Nicky coached, and he was telling me to watch the two of them. They're the two ones that they had bit high hopes for. So it's turned out that the two of them have Lennon's definitely going to. Bailey's just on the fringes at Rangers. I know he came on the other day. They've done really well, to be fair. They're still young boys with hold at their feet. But I would like to see Celtic sign somebody.
He looks not a bad player, I know, by the way. I've seen that boy Bailey Rice. He looks as if he can handle himself.
Nicky said him and Lennon were very good, two centre mids. So I would like to see Celtic sign somebody like Lennon Moore, because, like you said, we missed it with John McGinn, and you don't really want that happening again. We've spoke about it before on here. The Scottish League gets knocked if you pillar to post, but you have got some of your hidden gems. Like, look at that Scotland team at the minute that Steve Clark's got. You've got people like Andy Robertson, who's won Champions League. You've got Tomine, who's worshipped in Napoli. You've got John McGinn, who's doing at Villa, captain, quarterfinals of Champions League. There's people there playing at the top level who are Scottish, so there is players out there that come every now and again who are going to go on to have top careers, and he could be one of them boys that goes and does that.
I think Billy Gilmore's just got his sell into that Napoli team as well, beside McTominay, hasn't he? Conte's started playing him, so
he played the full game last night against Milan, and he ran the show, really. He kept the ball, set up Lukaku for the second goal. I think that's the first time he started in a while. He struggled.
Was it? Right.
I think he's not really played as much as he wanted. McTominay was actually ill last night. I think he got rushed to hospital with appendicitis. He had to get his appendix to put.
Oh man.
He missed the game, and Billy came in and played and done really well. So it takes time. It's a young Scottish boy going to Italy, trying to learn the language.
Lewis Ferguson's another one.
We spoke about it with the Japanese boys coming out here, how hard it is.
Yeah.
It's the same for
look at Yang. I mean, Yang's Korean, so and obviously he started trying to do he's trying to do interviews now in English. He's they're learning, but as you said, Baz, it must be quite grueling on them, because it must be frustrating, because it's like you and I going to try and, like you mentioned the last time you were on about the Japanese fella that plays with Wednesday now. Like, you've got to do everything through translation on your phone, and it takes a lot, and you need to have a big personality, in my opinion, Baz, to be able to go over to another side of the world and go and do your job, mate.
It's hard. It's hard. Rio's doing English lessons now, only the last couple of weeks or so. So hopefully he comes on leaps and bounds, but that will definitely help him. His performances will definitely become better as he learns the language. That's natural. But I know McTominay and Billy Gilmore, they've been learning Italian since they went over there. I've seen an interview with two of them go and do it together. So they'll well McTominay's settled in straight away. He's worshipped there already. They love him.
Yeah.
And I know Conte's chased Billy for years, apparently. Tried to get him for a while, and he's got him at Napoli now. So Napoli's a massive team, so it'll take time. It's not just I'm going out there and I'm going to play. There's some top players in that Napoli team, like Labotkas and Anguisses and like that. You're not just going to walk into them sort of teams. It's when you go to teams like that, you're in and out. You'll get your fair share, but you're not going to be every week because them top teams change and they've got top players, so you're fighting for your position every week.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And like you says as well, it's the same with Celtic in that aspect with the young lads as well, because even like see your Rocco Vattas and stuff, they're looking ahead of themselves and they're going like, I'm never going to get in that team. But some of these young kids, and I believe Lennon Miller's one of them, you know, they're looking at Celtic, like Luke McKeown, young lad getting in there as well, and he's back to himself, you know, and he's been like that. He said, I'm a Celtic fan, but not only am I a Celtic fan, I fancy my chances of coming for Dundee here and actually try to get in about this side and causing a bit of damage.
He's done. He's. You can see his confidence is there. He shows it when he's playing. You can tell that his confidence is sky high, and he believes that he deserves to be there. And his ball for the goal for Hatate against Rangers was brilliant. He's played a big part this season, like McCown. I know. Looking for the outside in, you've probably not seen him feature lots, but when he has played, he's always done something in the game. It makes you think, well, he's got a bit of the boy, to be fair. So
yeah,
I think he'll be one soon enough that will probably get into that Scotland squad. I thought he was unlucky not to make the last squad, but I think after them losing them two, well, they won over there and lost handsomely at Hampden, but I think he could be one that you could see that breaks into that Scotland squad. He's played Champions League this season for Celtic, played more than enough games this season as well at Celtic to want a place at least in the squad, I think.
Aye, me man, I've honestly, if there's hope for you yet, me man, if Kenny McLean's getting called up to that team, in my opinion, mate. I really don't know what's going on in there. I really don't. I was baffled with that whole thought process behind that, and I think every Scotland fan looking at that think to themselves, we need a change. We need to change something. We're coming to the end of this sort of bit now, and whether it be a change of manager or a total change of ideas, like you say there, Luke McKeown missed out in the squad. I mean, he's done very well with Celtic, scored some good goals, played in the Champions League. Christ almighty, I'm not too sure what else the lad will need to do to get himself in there. But no, mate, it's been a really good chat again tonight, mate. I've really enjoyed you having you on, maybe, and having a chat about Celtic again, mate.
No, I've enjoyed it, mate. It's been brilliant. And obviously to see the two men's dads on as well. It's been good to catch up with them. I've not spoke to them. I think I've spoke to your dad. I don't know if I spoke to Ryan's dad on the podcast.
I'm not sure. I can't remember offhand. If certainly not when I've been on. You've not spoke to Ryan's dad as far as my memories serves me. Yeah, my dad's been on before when you've been on a Monday. But I'm going to put a petition out. I'm going to maybe put Ryan down to part-time hours on here and maybe get his dad in a wee bit more. Some good points here.
I thought he's cut his wages and freed up a bit of the budget for maybe bring somebody else in. It's going to be participating a bit more, big man.
No, I'm at the drawing board with that one, and now, mate, I'll be like Jose Mourinho when we finish, man. The board set up in there. I'm coming up with some ideas in there about the two of them because I gave them some good annual leave there. They went to Tenerife and they're just ripped my backside right out it, boys. You know what I mean? You can't be having this.
The wee man's doing Buchanan Street looking for double denims when he should be on the old podcast. It's crazy.
He's running about TK Maxx and Big Alan's up in the Wynford and Mary Hill shouting about playing the Scotto with scratch scales and all that, know what I mean?
Big Alan.
He's trying to get more punters on his run.
I forgot about him. He's not been on that long.
I know. It's not that. It's that song, Who the F is Alice? It's Who the F is Alan on here.
I know.
Last time Alan was on here, Rangers were going for a cup final, weren't they?
But with Amoruso and George Alberts.
Aye, Bert Conterman. 100%. But no, mate, thank you very much for taking the time, mate, tonight. It's been a good chat. As I say, I hope you can get some momentum going and really push and start putting some of the teams under pressure and make a playoffs, mate.
Definitely, mate. It's a big 7 games. You just need to take a game at a time, and hopefully, come 3-4 games left, that you find striking distance, and you know what football's like, mate. Anything can happen going down to the last few games with nerves, and you never know.
100%, but I think this is when you come into your own, mate. I really do. And you've seen it for the last couple of years. Last season, the big push was to stay in the league, and you've done it with flying colours. And then prior to that, getting up into the league, I mean, that comeback for, never right off a Sheffield Wednesday team. Do it at your own peril if you want to, but the comeback against Peterborough, mate, I don't think you'll ever see. That's probably one of the best footballing comebacks I think I've ever witnessed.
No, it was amazing. Like you said, the finish last season was massive, because I think the manager touched on it at the weekend when we came off the park, that this time last year, after the international break, we drew. And we were like 5 or 6 points for safety as well. And then we went on the run for the last 7 games. So
yeah,
it's a different scenario now where you're fighting above and you're not chasing teams who are struggling. But if you can put a run that we put together last year now, then you've got a right chance.
100%, mate. 100%. And obviously, with other teams looking to be on the podium another twice to complete yet another, I can't believe I'm saying this, yet another domestic treble, mate.
Amazing, mate. It's you kind of we're too. We don't take it. We take it for granted, I think, to be honest, because what they've done in the last 10 years. I remember, I think, up until probably last season, Elsie had never seen Rangers beat Celtic ever.
Same with Caleb.
It was the same, because they're roughly the same age. So
yeah,
what they're doing, it's no normal, and I think because the younger generation have grew up seeing Celtic dominating, it wasn't like that for us. You know what I mean? We in the 90s and that we had to suffer, but the amount of trebles that they're winning recently is outstanding, and you don't see it anywhere in the world. You've got dominant teams in every league in the world, but they don't do what this Celtic team are doing and constantly winning trebles. It's amazing.
That's how when Rangers do beat us, on that odd occasion it happens, like Ryan's, he's totally distraught, and he goes into that wee mode where he's absolutely sick and he doesn't know. And I put my arm around him, I'm like, it's all right, wee man. Listen, it's cool, it's all right. I start showing him photos of Lou McCarry and Liam Brady, and this is what I had to grow up watching, son. This is what, your earliest memories are Martin O'Neill's Celtic team. I can remember people like Big Viduka and other boys, but Ryan was only a nipper when they were playing with Celtic. I remember Carol Muggleton. You talk about, people think Celtic get beat with Rangers a bad thing.
Aye.
I remember we couldn't beat them.
We're getting beat with them. We're 16 points clear. That's when we're getting beat.
We're getting beat with them when things don't matter, in the contrast that it's not going to affect the league title, or it's no, Rangers aren't getting themselves a cup at the end of it. Or I remember we were losing. I remember we used to get beat. Baz, I remember we used to go to games. You'd be going to Parkhead with one eye coming through your Holland, because you'd be thinking Aberdeen would turn you. Dundee United. You're going to games. I remember going to games with my dad and getting in the jungle. And my dad looking at me and going, "You all right, son?" I'd be like, "Aye." He'd be like, "You seen the team?" "Ah, no. You're not really taking in the lineup." But my dad's talking about the lineup. And we're lucky if we keep a score down to 2 here, son. Know what I mean? And it's against Dundee United at Celtic Park. This is what I'm saying about, Celtic fans do not know how lucky they are right now to witness what it is they're witnessing. That's how I just laugh when I hear people going, "Oh, I'm sick." Jesus. If the young team nowadays had to grow up watching what I was watching, what we used to watch, Buzz, I think they'd be shutting down the Kingston Bridge.
Aye.
There'd be
100%.
all sorts of people jumping into that River Clyde.
Nah, it's night and day, innit? But
100%, mate.
well, but you obviously just don't like getting beat after them. But you said there's the bigger picture is the 3 trophies will be in paradise, won't they? So that's all
this is
that
it.
matters for the season.
All that matters is you're lifting. Nobody's going to remember. Remember that game they beat us at Ibrox? No. Remember that day we won. Remember that day we won the Scottish Cup. Remember that day we won the League Cup. Remember that day we won the league. That's what you're going to talk about. You're not going to. You're going to talk about the days out. Remember that day we all met in Gracie's bar and we all went there and then we all done. That'll be the chat. It's not about them winning there and them beating us here and them doing this. So no, but we keep going and on, mate. As I say, Celtic, there's never a dull moment. They always give you something to talk about. But I've taken enough of your time tonight, mate. I want to thank you again for coming on and chatting. Like I say, mate, all the best against Hull at the weekend. And aye, make sure you get me Rio some English lessons, because come end of the season, I want to get his thoughts on here about the Japanese boys that we've got in terms of how he feels that they've done. And that'll be a good laugh. We'll get Ryan on and he'll sip his.
We can get the interpreter on.
By the way, he's won more trophies in Tavernier.
Who Rio?
The wee interpreter. Aye. The interpreter at Celtic Park's won more trophies in Tavernier. He's got more Bannan medals. There's some fees to take away with you tonight. Just remember that. You ever think Celtic we get beat with him? Just think. Some poor guy out there called James Tavernier. He's got to remember Celtic for the rest of his days. Guys, cheers again, mate. Honestly, thanks to everybody else that's joined in with us tonight as well. Hope everybody had a great weekend, and we'll be back on as the week goes on with more chat on our beloved Celtic. But for now, take care. Hail, hail. We'll see you all again. Bye-bye.
Hail, hail. See you later.